Hi, and welcome to Cloud on Air, live webinars from Google Cloud. We have webinars every Tuesday. My name is Ashley Malone. I'm a product marketing manager on Google Drive, and today I'm going to be walking you through the benefits of choosing Google Drive for your content management and content collaboration needs, and specifically our new standalone enterprise offering, aptly named Drive Enterprise. Please feel free to ask questions anytime using the platform. We have Googlers on standby ready to answer them. With that, let's get started. So we all know that content is exploding, and you might have actually heard the exact stat that I'm about to cite, which is that in the past 2 years, more information has been created than in the previous 5,000. Now, we all have heard something akin to this, but it's still incredibly daunting to think about. And for organizations, that growing set of content is really the lifeblood of your company. If you think about it, every single good idea a company's had is contained in their content platforms. Every strategy document, every competitive analysis, every financial plan, every design mock-up. But all too often, all that content lies dormant. People don't know it exists, they can't find it, they can't access it, and so its value is largely lost. And that growth in content is matched by an increase in workforce complexity. Not only are more people working across more cities, more countries, more time zones, but they're also working more remotely than ever before. And in fact, it's projected that by 2020, more than 50% of the workforce will be remote, which is an obvious barrier to collaboration. On top of all that, more and more companies are working with external third parties like vendors, suppliers, partners, and agencies to help them execute. All of this is to say that working well together is already hard, and it's only getting harder. So both of these trends pose a critical problem for organizations to get right. How can they safely, intelligently, and effectively manage and collaborate on all of their content? The strongest, most agile, and competitive companies all harness their institutional knowledge into a powerful living asset that propels their business forward. The problem is, current solutions aren't helping companies effectively address this need. A recent Forrester study actually shows that only 36% of business and IT leaders are satisfied with their current enterprise content management solution. In fact, ECMs have some of the lowest satisfaction numbers across any type of software. And these are the systems that you're counting on to solve this knowledge management problem for your organization. And just to put that 36% in context, I recently found out that the IRS, who you know, they take money from you for a living, they actually have an approval rate of 49%, which is just pretty depressing to think about the difference between that and what we have with ECMs. So we often hear from customers that they know they need a better solution, they want a better solution, but the prospect of getting there, of making it happen, is just hard. It can feel to some companies like the change management burden is just too high, that it's not worth it. You'd be leaving tools your workforce has been specifically trained in, sometimes for decades. You'd have to scale the massive hurdle that is migration, and there may be financial risks with a new solution. Not to mention, how can you possibly guarantee adoption with a new product when you probably had trouble with it with the existing one? What organizations need today is a solution that can do 4 things. 1, it needs to work seamlessly with technology an organization already has and relies on. 2, it needs to be fast and incredibly easy to use and therefore adopt. 3, it needs to supercharge their employees' ability to accomplish more important work and work better together. And lastly, it needs to be the kind of enterprise-grade secure that IT never has to worry about. And one more thing, it needs to be easy to migrate over to. And this is probably the most important element because without it, you're not getting any of the benefits I just mentioned in the previous slide. No company wants to waste any extra time, money, or resources making the transition over than is absolutely necessary. Otherwise, the benefits don't outweigh the risks. And that is exactly why we've introduced Drive Enterprise. We've built Drive Enterprise essentially from the ground up to be the solution modern organizations need. This standalone offering features Drive, our intelligent content management solution, but it also comes with our best-in-class editors, which encompasses docs, sheets, slides, sites, and more for enhanced collaboration. Plus, it has key security and admin features like Cloud Identity, Vault, and the Admin Console. It addresses the dual issues of content management and collaboration equally, with an underlying layer of enterprise-grade security and support. And just to expand on that last point, I want to take a minute to illustrate some of the key security and admin features that we have today. And there's far more than just what's listed here. So because we started off as a consumer product, we put a lot of effort into intentionally creating the features and reliability that enterprises not only need, but have come to expect. We actually spent all of last year making sure that Drive was ready for the enterprise. And we're proud to say that today, not only can we check the box on security, but we actually have a lot of proactive security features that differentiate us in that respect. So I'm going to be going through a few of those later on, but just to call out some key features right now. We have Vault, e-discovery, and archiving for your legal and compliance teams. We have data loss prevention to make sure sensitive information like customer credit card numbers or social security numbers don't get leaked outside of the organization. We have data regions so you can choose where your data is stored. We have AppBridge, a leading on-prem and cloud-to-cloud migration solution that makes the transition over seamless. We have identity management, which you can think of as your directory in the cloud. Security Center for diagnosing and remediating any security issues. And we have mobile device management, which lets you remotely wipe any device that has been lost or compromised. And obviously much, much more. I'm actually going to be going into a few of these more in depth a bit later on, but all this is to say, Drive Enterprise really is all the best elements of G Suite Enterprise, just separated out. So as I mentioned earlier, a key goal for us in creating this offer was to eliminate the change management burden for you so you can more easily make the transition to that modern content platform. And a key way we're doing that is by offering usage-based pricing. We're the only ones in the market that are doing this, and we're doing it to take the risk out of trying something new. You only pay for what you actually use. It's $8 per active user per month, plus 4 cents per gigabyte for storage. And that storage fee, by the way, is not making us any money. It's purely to cover our costs. And we're doing this because we understand that there's a huge risk whenever you deploy a new software that nobody will adopt it. This new pricing is designed to take that risk out of the equation. And here we can see just exactly how much you stand to save with this new pricing. When we did an analysis to compare our offering with other similar fully featured offerings in the market, ours was more cost-effective in almost every scenario. And that's because 98% of people in your organization actually don't use as much storage as you might have thought. In fact, when other companies offer you unlimited storage, it's because they've increased the base price to cover outliers that use hundreds of gigabytes of storage. Most people use less than 100, even less than 50. And we can offer such a low base price because we don't have to account for outliers. You pay just for what you use. And in almost every case, that ends up being less than in competitive solutions. One other thing to note on this slide is that you'll see in the upper left-hand corner, we're assuming 70% active usage, which is actually on the high end of things. Even Microsoft OneDrive, which, yes, may be widely deployed, only averages about 20% active usage in a given month. All of this goes to show just how much we've reduced the risk of trying Drive Enterprise. So why are we doing this? Well, we really believe that this new pricing model and standalone offering is the first step towards fulfilling our vision. And our vision is to empower every organization to realize the full value of the content it creates, no matter where they are in their journey to the cloud and regardless of how they've built their productivity stack. We want to create the conditions where any enterprise can transform dormant content into a living, active source of insight and advantage. That's what we think it means to be a next-generation intelligent content platform. And that's what current enterprise content management solutions are missing. So how exactly are we different? Well, we just went over the first point, which is our unique pricing that makes Drive Enterprise easier than ever to buy and scale as needed. It's also easy to adopt, both because of our product's inherent consumer familiarity and our intuitive user experience, but also because of some key interoperability features we've introduced to make working with your current tools and apps seamless. Next, we wanted our platform to feel like it was actively enabling your people and your teams every day, not just sitting there as a static storage provider. Fourth, we wanted to infuse intelligence into Drive to help employees stay informed and also focus on more strategic work. And lastly, we did all of this without losing sight of the fact that security, privacy, compliance are all crucial to the enterprise. So let's dive right into that second point, adoption. Enterprise content management solutions are typically suffering from adoption problems. And in fact, a study from Forrester shows that almost half of all companies struggle with adoption when it comes to ECMs. And that's exactly why we wanted to make sure that Drive works well with all the other applications an enterprise uses, especially Microsoft. Our goal is to bring the magic of Google-like collaboration to Microsoft files, as well as to over 80 other common file types that we're compatible with. So Drive File Stream was the first step towards this goal. It allows you to mount Drive as if it were a network filer on your company network. And the Drive instance replaces your network filer and allows you to sync files in seconds. You actually interact with it just like you would your legacy file share server, which makes it easy to adopt. Another key feature that we announced earlier this year is commenting on Office files. So you can open up a real Word, PowerPoint, or Excel file, and you can highlight a sentence, you can tag in a coworker, you can make a comment, and it all works just like it would in Google Docs. And the best part is, it looks just the same if you download it and open it in Word or Excel or PowerPoint itself. We maintain the commenting and the structure and the highlights the same as you'd see it in Word. It's a great example of how we're bringing Google-like collaboration to Microsoft files. There's another recent feature we just launched last month called Real-Time Presence. It lets you know if someone you're working with is trying to edit an Office file at the same time as you. So if multiple people are looking at a document on their respective machines, it helps prevent version conflicts. And it actually gives you a warning when it's not safe to edit. And even if someone does accidentally overwrite the document that you're working on, we have a really sleek way to reconcile that. Both versions are pulled up side by side so you can more easily see what the differences are and make any necessary changes. Real-time presence is really a unique feature that brings some more of Google's collaborative magic to the Microsoft environment. All right, so another issue that we've seen with enterprise content management solutions is that they tend to lock employees down, restricting them from really fully collaborating and working fluidly. And that's why we made a point to incorporate features that make teamwork and work in general flow smoothly. So the first step here was Team Drives. It's a group-owned space where teams can centrally access and collaborate on documents. Documents never disappear, so even if a team member leaves, you still have access to the files that you need. Speaking of access, setting the right access controls and permissioning is really straightforward and easy to understand. All in all, Team Drives makes it easy to share things with a consistent group of people and really embody co-ownership on projects. Metadata is a new feature, still in beta, that helps you organize files. We've purposely designed it for the 80%, which is actually a key principle for all of Google since we try to build for everyone. But we wanted to make it sure it was uncomplicated, and so we emphasized more broad use cases over edge cases. Metadata lets you tag files in a way that makes sense to you, and users can apply categories as they see fit, both of which help make it extremely intuitive, which aids the likelihood that people will actually use it. Metadata also makes finding files in Drive faster and easier. It enhances our advanced search capabilities, which let you look for files based on a host of characteristics, including file type, file owner, location, shared status, and so on. You can create a multi-term structured search, which makes it really easy for massive teams with a lot of content to get organized and quickly find what they're searching for. So document approvals is another feature that enterprise content management solutions tend to overcomplicate. Teams tend to feel very restricted by the systems that they use today and not empowered. Just think about the last time you had to get an approval. How easy was it? My bet is not very. We've built approvals for people, the way you would expect. Anyone can request an approval on any document type, and exactly what you expect to happen, happens. Requested approvers get a notification. They can ask questions, make comments, or just approve from anywhere. And everybody involved is notified once the document is approved or rejected. The goal is to make it feel less like the extra work that it is today. All right, so moving into intelligence. We strongly believe that with the power of Google machine learning and artificial intelligence, we can make our apps more valuable by helping workers stay both informed and focused. And it's funny because on the surface, being informed almost seems like it's the opposite of staying focused. I mean, if you're constantly being interrupted by new updates and pings and notifications, how can you possibly stay focused? There is an inherent trade-off here that we wanted to balance as we brought intelligence into Drive. So we wanted to think carefully about how to inform you of the right things without pulling you away from important work. And just to dive a little bit deeper into those breaks in focus, research actually shows that the typical office worker is interrupted on average every 3 minutes and 5 seconds. That eats up an estimated 28 billion wasted hours per year at a loss of almost $1 trillion to the US economy alone. It's a lot of productivity and a lot of money and a big problem. It's why we wanted to balance this line in a thoughtful way so we could address both being informed and focused without sacrificing either. So quick access was our first step towards addressing this problem. It's a simple carousel at the top of the Drive homepage that shows you files you might need. But what's under the hood is we're processing all of the signals from not only your actions in Drive, but your coworkers and your email and your calendar and much more. It's extremely sophisticated technology presented in a straightforward and intuitive way. And to my knowledge, it's the most successful machine learning feature we've ever launched in G Suite. It eliminated 50% of the time that users spent finding files, which is the equivalent of saving 850 work weeks every single day. What does 850 work weeks really even mean, though? Well, when you count it out, it's the equivalent of 17 years. When you think about it, that's half of someone's career. And all of that time saved can go back into more productive work. So quick access was such a success that we asked ourselves, what would the product experience look like if we based the Drive homepage on quick access? And so we rethought all of Drive based on that metaphor. And it ended up manifesting into the new priority page. It's a new tab in the left-hand navigation of Drive that helps you stay both informed and focused. And the way it's able to do that is because it has two distinct sections. On the top is a feed called Suggested, which looks a lot like quick access with a few notable differences. And at the bottom is a section called Workspaces. First, Suggested. Suggested uses similar signals from quick access to serve you the content you need when you need it. It helps you figure out what to do next, but it also adds actions in line, like replying to a comment. And it gives you some more context on the file itself, like who it's shared with or the last action that was taken on the file. And the other part of priority is Workspaces. If Suggested helps keep you informed, Workspaces helps keep you focused. Our research shows that most workers actually only use about 20 to 25 files on a given project. But the challenge is that those files can be spread across a ton of systems or folders, and it can be really difficult to make sure that you're looking at all of the files that are relevant to a given project. So Workspaces puts those files on the home screen and helps you focus on them. And it's not manual. Just like Suggested, it's powered by machine learning. It identifies the topics you're working on, it finds files that are relevant to those topics, and it suggests them as a group. And it's not manual. I already said that. It's assistive, not automated, so you retain full control. All right, so we've just gone through the main features that set us apart from traditional enterprise content management solutions. Now I want to talk a little bit more about security and reliability and how we're meeting the highest standards of enterprise grade and really addressing the demands of the world's largest, most complex, and highly regulated organizations. So point number one is that we're built on Google Cloud. So the same infrastructure that we use internally to support billions of users worldwide is exactly what you get, no matter your size. And that kind of scale is pretty unprecedented, and it helps us be more secure every day. We also have involved support, both professional services and online and phone support, as well as documentation and self-service tools. And one last point to emphasize here is that you and your enterprise own your data. End of story. And now to dive into some of our key new features. So you may remember I mentioned Security Center earlier. Security Center launched in January of this year, and it's a great example of proactive protection. So it's mainly for CISOs, and it makes best practice recommendations. It gives you actionable insights, and it generally gives you a bird's eye view of the status of security across your organization in one overarching dashboard. So in March, we launched information rights management controls for team drives so that team drives can now store your most sensitive data, like HR or finance data. You can configure the settings to disable downloads, copying, printing, sharing outside of your company's domain, or even more stringently, sharing outside of the team itself. Back in May, we launched GDPR compliance, which is a lot more complicated than just the four bullets here. And if you'd like to learn more, we have in-depth white papers online that can go into far more detail than I can. The launch of data regions, which I also mentioned earlier, means you can now store your data in Europe or in the US, or distribute it between the two, depending on your needs. Announced just this summer was the investigation tool, another proactive security feature. It helps you identify if there's a security breach, and it gives you the right steps to take to address it. And lastly, we have one new way to securely share outside of Drive. It actually works the same way that your bank does when they send you a code to verify your identity. So today, in order to view a file on Drive, if you're not already on Google, you either have to create a Google account or you have to access a public link. PIN code sharing falls somewhere in the middle, and it lets vendors, suppliers, partners work with you on a document even if they don't have a Google account. And they can interact with that document the same way they would if they did. And admins get full visibility into the document's history and audit, including actions taken by people who have accessed it via PIN code. All right. So we've gone through all of the key reasons Drive Enterprise is the intelligent content and collaboration your organization needs to harness the full value of its content. We really believe that each of these elements directly addresses pitfalls in current legacy enterprise content management solutions. And we're extremely excited by all of the early feedback and reception we've gotten from customers since our launch. We hope this solution, with its standalone offer and revolutionary pricing, not only helps transform how your organization works, but also relieves you of any change management burden that you might have otherwise faced. It's available today, and you can learn more or reach out by visiting cloud.google.com/drive-enterprise. And that's it. Thank you for joining me, and please stay tuned for a live Q&A. We should be back in less than a minute. All right, thank you and welcome back, everyone. I'm going to take a few questions now. So the first one is, how do you define an active user? So activity is defined by everything that you see in Drive Audit. And actually, you can see all those same actions in the admin console today. And the sorts of events that you'll see are things like viewing a document in any capacity, obviously making any changes to a document, changing the visibility or access controls of a document would count as activity, and then things like changing the organization or where the file is stored. Those are the sorts of events that you can expect to contribute to activity. All right, next question. Will this SKU support SSO? Yes, but only up to 10 apps. So Cloud Identity Basic is actually included in the Drive Enterprise SKU, but if you want the full SSO solution that enables over 9,000 apps, then I'd recommend you purchase Cloud Identity Premium. All right, number 3, when will metadata and approvals be launched? So metadata and approvals are currently in beta and alpha, respectively, and both of them are expected to launch and become generally available sometime early next year. Number 4, is there a typical timeline you would associate with a file migration, and what aspects most directly influence the timeline? So it varies by company, but the average migration time that we've seen tends to be around a week, with some customers like Colgate who are actually able to fully migrate in just a weekend. Factors that influence this include how much data you have, what kind of data and what sources it's from, the complexity of your sharing structures, if you have any integrations that would influence it, and then lastly, just some basic planning time would all influence how long it takes to fully migrate. All right, last question. How does this work if we have multiple domains? So one thing to note is that you actually can't have Drive Enterprise SKU and any G Suite SKU like Basic, Business, or Enterprise on a single domain. But if you have multiple domains, like maybe you have a primary and a secondary, then you can actually have G Suite on one domain and Drive Enterprise on another, so they can work in tandem like that. All right, that's all I have for you today. So please stay tuned for the next session, Transform the Way You Work with G Suite and Salesforce CRM. Thank you so much.